when I would hang out with people, I'd hang out with the entire seller performance team. I would just that we just were most of my friends at Microsoft were much older in their lives. They were, I was in my mid 20s. They were mid to late 20s. They were, older with kids, right? So the priorities are different. Whereas like the Amazon crew were kind of the younger crew. So we hung out with seller. Boy, did I pay attention to the dinner conversation, right? I mean, I wasn't actively selling, but it was fascinating to hear these people talk. And it was actually one of her coworkers that reached out to me many years later when they started a consulting firm for Amazon sellers and asked me to write a blog post about taxes and the injustice of taxes. And that the timing was perfect. I had just left General Electric. They wanted to move their headquarters from Connecticut to Boston, and I'm just kind of was done. Like I had helped dismantle this company. GE used to be one of the biggest banks. It used to be.
I remember that.
We made more money banking than we did selling jet engines or turbines. But due to just a lot of things, GE used to own NBC Universal. So they owned Universal Studios. They owned NBC. They owned Saturday Night Live. Right? The whole 30 Rock show is about the fact is GE, right? Alec Baldwin's character is a GE executive, right? That's the whole premise of the show is like you've got this comedy show owned by, the corporates of GE, and it's kind of a funny mix. So, but we sold it all off. We sold that to Comcast. So my time at GE, being recruited to go to GE as a lawyer is like getting called to go to the Yankees. I'm not a Yankees fan, by the way. But people get the analogy. If you say called to go to the Phillies, I don't think it has quite the same ring to it, right? Yeah, I was called to go to GE, and I spent a number of years there, but we were just dismantling. We sold off the TV studio and Universal Studios. We sold off over 50% of the revenue in the financial arm because of changing banking laws. We sold off even the appliances. The appliances that you buy from GE today are made by Huawei. They're not really GE. They just as part of the deal, they get to use the GE name, but it's all China based. A lot of GE was appliances, all of it sold off. So we pretty much dismantled this company as under the direction of Jack Welch. Not Jack Welch, Jeff Immelt. But the company Jack Welch built, which is a great book. Have you ever read Jack Welch's book about GE? It's, for those of you looking for something to read that's old school, go back and read it. You'll read some interesting stuff. We had moved them from Connecticut to Boston, and I kind of just felt my time was up here. Where I was going to go from there, I didn't like. So I really started believing in fate and things like that. It's just because it's weird that all of my life experiences led to this. Like that's a weird thing to happen, right? That now I'm this and that it all started because Amazon sellers had tax law issues that are rooted in constitutional law, which is exactly what I've been doing for like part of my life for 15 years is like studying constitutional tax laws and multi-state laws in the Constitution. And it's just with the Amazon background, it's like, wow, it's like as if somebody from above was telling me like, your whole life, I've been pushing you in a direction so that you're the perfect person to take on these challenges. And these laws apply, it's the same laws we applied during the price gouging scares right? Remember when we were all getting scared off of Amazon with COVID and price gouging? I mean, we were right out there defending, saying, wait a minute, that's not what this is. This is a very different situation because we don't have a state pricing mechanism. This is, regulate Amazon, tell us what the rules of the road is, but don't go blaming us. Especially before the pandemic was even officially declared, right? Like some people got a really bad situation because of price gouging, supposed price gouging, but I'm like, there was no pandemic. Right. I mean, literally we're talking, the days when the president of the United States says that there's nothing to worry about in February. Right. And so we defended that. I mean, we went up, we take those cases seriously. And so, yeah, it is a moment for me when you run me through my origin story like this, and I think about it, it's an odd, strange series of events that led me to this position where like, okay, this is what you do. This is what you should be doing.
So you're in corporate, and then you start working with sellers on these various issues, and then your eyes are kind of open to the Amazon ecosystem. You already experienced it as a seller. But then you start to see all these issues that those of us who've been selling on Amazon for any amount of time, we know, and this is what I always tell everyone looks at it and they think it's so easy. It's not easy. And, in any business, you're going to have issues. But navigating these issues that you work with at SellerBasics are extremely challenging because unless you know how to respond, to the cases like your team does, a lot of times you'll end up, especially if you're just a lay seller, right, and you haven't dealt with them, you'll end up kind of beating your head against the wall. So you started to see, right, I guess, these sellers that were having these difficulties. And I imagine because of your experience, you understand then how to craft these cases, whether it's somebody's account is suspended or their ASIN has been taken down. So talk to us a little bit about that. And, what I appreciate most about your firm is what we just shared. You've been in our shoes, so you understand the pain, and we've talked about this before, how, sellers like myself, this is how I feed my family. And so it is challenging at times because Amazon owns the sandbox and you feel like you're David kind of going up against Goliath, with these issues, which is why I think SellerBasics is so relevant, why every seller should have a subscription to SellerBasics. So tell us a little bit about that, what you see out there and some of the things that your team works on daily.
It comes down to one thing, right? This concept of who are we, right? Now, this especially applies to the private label sellers, but also applies to the retail arbitrage community. So the concept of the global small business, that's an oxymoron in 1991, right? If I say, oh, I'm a global small business, how's that possible in 1991? It doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? I have global reach, but I'm a small business. Impossible. E-commerce and FBA and Alibaba, right? Putting those three together, right? Letting me run a business where I'm importing products from China, selling across the country, selling across different countries through these platforms, my products, that was all because of Amazon, really. You could argue eBay to some extent, but really Amazon is what allows you to sell it for scale, right? Remember, like we were saying earlier, I went from being 100,000 to all of a sudden 1 million, then 2 million. My observation, 5 years ago when I was asked to write that blog post was, okay, there's a tax issue out there, but there's a bigger issue. Nobody's serving the global small business because the lawyer Amazon sellers are going to, maybe that lawyer is really good if you want to set up a tea shop in the middle of your town in Main Street, USA. Maybe they're specifically known in that jurisdiction. They understand your challenges, right? They know the township, they know the permitting issues, the signage regulations. But that's not who the average Amazon seller is. These are sellers in interstate commerce, right? Even arbitrage sellers. You are sellers in interstate commerce. Maybe not always international commerce, but interstate commerce. And lawyers who do that typically serve up market, right? That's why I was a lawyer for Microsoft, Walmart, GE. I was not, if you had asked me in 2010, would you ever have a client that's not, on the S&P or doing 100 million? I say that'd be rare, very rare for me, because that's just not who typically needs me, right? We do complex, broad, we have to have a good understanding of the national and international market. But now you have, 100,000 plus, actually more than 1 million plus, but serious sellers, let's say, in the United States, with nobody there to help them, right? Meanwhile, their competition, unfortunately, in China doesn't care at all. I always joke about how many clients we have who are based in China. We don't have a lot of China-based clients, right? That's not on coincidence. It's because the ramifications, the implications for being wrong are a lot less when you live in China, right? But when you live in the United States and you can be facing, severe legal fines, penalties, you can get sued, you can lose everything, you can lose your house. You want to play by the rules. And I've actually spoken to Congress about how there's some, it's kind of, you're creating a real tactical advantage for China right now. And we've had that conversation, but I'm digressing. So that's sort of what we saw. So we built a law firm around that. And the idea with a law firm is we don't have to be 90% of the time, our clients, there's scalability in that we know our clients' issues better than they do before they even know us. They think there's a lot of overlap, like 98% of our clients who sell through Amazon as a primary source or e-commerce, right? We kind of know their challenges better than they do before they even walk in the door. They're surprised by that because everyone thinks, oh, I'm different. Well, it's like, no, but we kind of know. We've seen this a million times before. And so there's scalability in that. So that allows us to take sort of big law concepts and make it affordable. So we've done that through our law firm. But Then there's the idea of like, well, what else can we do to make this one more affordable and more just user friendly? Because I think people are afraid of lawyers. They're afraid of the hourly rate concept. They're afraid that lawyers, it's like, it's this nebulous concept, like, give me X $1,000, my hourly rate is this. And, next thing you know, you get a bill. Like, how did that happen? It's like, we get it. And sometimes we have to do it that way. But,
right.
My business has been built on as much flat rate as possible, using the economies of scale and the fact that we already know how to solve the problem. We already know how to solve for X most of the time. Mm. And then with SellerBasics, which is separate and apart from our law firm, now we built something that's nothing new. SellerBasics is like, it's almost like insurance. Like, we're not really insuring any losses. Like, I mean, if you're offline for a day, like, we don't pay you for those losses. Right. But you could argue it's almost like insuring the cost, because what we see is a lot of consultants who aren't even lawyers are out there, and they're giving you help. They're helping you. And sometimes that's fine. But sometimes the help crosses the line to practicing law. So we're sort of saying, how can we build a program where it can be technical experts like Joy, who are just doing their thing, who join our team, Joy Williams is amazing, who leads our operations, who can help you through just Amazon compliance that really doesn't require a lawyer. So we have this program now. So if your account goes down, you're paying $90 a month, and it's like insurance. It's like, if anything happens to your account, we're there to help you. You have somebody to call. You don't have to panic. Nobody's going to take advantage of you in your time of need, because our rates are fixed and there's actually no extra charges, right? We actually started with some like little like copays, and we call them copays because we like to borrow. But we've actually gotten rid of that because our belief is that if we get to scale and if we get enough members, which we're really growing fast, there's no need for it.